Hello my friends, you are on Canal Brazil in English. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Today in Brazil, November 28, 2024, it is almost 40 degrees hot. At this time of year, it is unbearable to walk through the city streets. However, it is not always like this. From July to September, the temperature is milder, but nothing compared to Europe or the United States. In Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, the temperature is mild, around 20 degrees. Brazil is a country of intercontinental dimensions. In the extreme south of the country, it is cold. The city of Porto Alegre, located in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, is the last capital city in the southernmost part of Brazil. Further south, there is the border with Uruguay. Today, the dollar hit a record high. Here in Brazil, $1 is worth 6 reais. Do you have any idea of this? Wow, it's horrible. For example, I'm a musician, I love Fender bass guitars, and to buy a new musical instrument, we pay around 15,000 reais. The same new instrument in the United States costs $1,000. Here in Brazil, there are a lot of taxes. Most of the people who live in the suburbs and in the interior of the states do not have a good level of education, and they lack knowledge. This is not a privilege of Brazilians. However, public services are not of good quality. People, in general, are good people. Brazilians are very receptive, happy, and cheerful. This is a bit contradictory, isn't it? Knowing that we are robbed by very expensive taxes that do not translate into good basic healthy services, basic sanitation, security, and housing. In my videos, I will not dedicate myself to showing the problems of Brazil, but rather to showing the good and the bad sides. The country is wonderful, natural beauty, a talented people, but we are only 522 years old. We are teenagers in the world. The current president is called Luiz Inácio, better known as Lula. Lula was arrested for corruption but was released, and his charges were dropped by the Supreme Federal Court. I will tell this story in the next videos. From 2019 to 2022, the president-elect was a former army officer named Jair Messias Bolsonaro, better known as Bolsonaro. Lula is left-wing. Bolsonaro is right-wing. Here in Brazil, we live in extreme political polarization. Half of the country is a fan of Lula, the other half is a fan of Bolsonaro. Families and friends fought among themselves because of this political dispute. After the pandemic, Bolsonaro lost power and Lula returned to power. Not satisfied with the defeat, Bolsonaro fans attacked the square of the three powers in the Brazilian capital, Brasilia. Yes, the capital of Brazil is Brasilia. But why did these pro-Bolsonaro activists do this? Was there fraud in the elections that elected Lula? I will talk about this in the next videos. Today, the federal police and the Supreme Federal Court are accusing Bolsonaro of attempting a coup and insurrection at the end of his term in 2022. Evidence or strong indications are emerging that the top of Bolsonaro's supporters, here called Bolsonaristas, they tried to stage a coup. They even planned to kill Lula. What madness is this? You might think, wow, we should be in shock. But the truth is that we Brazilians are numb and addicted to dopamine. There are too many agendas and issues here to pay attention to and distract our minds. There is football, and every week every Brazilian anxiously awaits Friday. Here in Brazil, we work from Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We don't work on Saturdays and Sundays, of course. There are millions who work on weekends, especially people who work in shopping malls and hospitals, but most of us look forward to Friday night. Rush hour Friday night here in Brazil, we call it sexto. Funny, isn't it? I love it. On Friday night, people take the opportunity to have a beer or meet up with friends at bars and restaurants. Let me be clear, I don't drink beer, but most Brazilians drink beer and love churrasco. I sometimes drink it discreetly when I'm alone or with my wife. I like caipirinha fruit juice with a small dose of cachaça. Cachaça is a high alcohol drink. I don't like just any brand. I like artisanal cachaças and mixed with lemon juice, strawberry juice, passion fruit juice or other fruits. And speaking of fruits, in the next videos I'll talk about typical Brazilian fruits. Still on politics in Brazil, last month in October we elected the mayors and city councillors of all the cities in Brazil. The states of Brazil are the political administrative units into which the national territory is divided. Brazil is made up of 26 states and the federal district, which is not a state but rather the administrative headquarters or the federal government that performs the functions of a state and municipality. The Brazilian states are grouped into 5 major regions: North, Northeast, Central, West, Southeast, and South. In the next videos I will show you the name of each state and capital of the country and their histories. Here in Rio de Janeiro, the current mayor Eduardo Paes was re-elected. For those who don't know, the city of Rio de Janeiro is the capital of the state of Rio de Janeiro. The state and city have the same name. So when you see the city of Rio de Janeiro, know that there are other neighboring cities within the state of Rio de Janeiro that are good to visit, such as Angra dos Reis, which is in the far west of the state, a place with stunning views that combine waterfalls with paradisiacal beaches. If you think Copacabana, Ipanema and Leblon are the best beaches in Brazil, you're wrong, my friends. In other videos I'll also talk about the beaches in the Brazilian Northeast and the best places to visit. Here in Rio you can find everything. The capital has almost 10 million inhabitants. The city is divided into zones: South Zone, North Zone, West Zone Barra and West Zone Campo Grande and Center. In the South Zone there are Copacabana, Ipanema and other very expensive neighborhoods to live in. This is where tourists stay. An apartment in Leblon costs around 5 million reais, a place only for millionaires. However, the neighborhood and the beaches are also frequented by people who live in poor areas, either because they work in the region or to go to the beach. There are many beach options in Rio. The Christ the Redeemer statue and the biggest tourist attractions are also in the South Zone. There are a lot of muggings in Rio de Janeiro. However, I have never been mugged in the South Zone. I have been mugged twice, but they were on buses. The North Zone is the poorest part of the city. The most developed neighborhoods in the North Zone are Tijuca and Meyer. The further north you go, the more you will reach Madureira, which is the biggest shopping center in the city. Clothes, watches, electronics, jewelry are all cheap. Most of them are counterfeit or replica pieces. Here in Brazil, a Lacoste or Tommy Hilfiger shirt costs a mere 600 reais. That is crazy. And the worst part is that I have already paid these exorbitant prices for these shirts. Would you pay $600 for a shirt? And why do they pay here? I can't really explain it. It's a mix of stupidity and wanting to be accepted. Normally the rich wear flip-flops by the brand Havaianas, which is very popular in Brazil, and simple knitted blouses by Hering. As for the middle class, who are nicknamed poor people stuck up or emerging middle class, they spend a lot. They don't plan their finances, they live on rent. The further north you go, the closer you get to the city limits that border the group of cities called Baixada Fluminense. In some of these cities, there is a very high level of poverty. People live in shacks. There is no basic sanitation. But that is a topic for another video. The other area of the city is the West Zone, which is divided by Campo Grande and Barra. In Barra are the neighborhoods of Barra da Tijuca, Recreio dos Bandeirantes and Jacarepaguá. Just like in the South Zone, these are neighborhoods of rich and millionaires, but there are also many middle-class people. This area also has several beaches. In the Central Zone, the city center is where the city council chambers, the state chamber of deputies, libraries, the city port, and the public prosecutor's office are located. Few people live in the city center. In fact, for a long time, the center of Rio has been empty after work. People simply arrive and leave to return home. This is a summary of today and a very superficial view of the city of Rio de Janeiro. In the next videos, I will talk about other cities and what is happening in Brazil. I also wanted to talk about football. My favorite team, Botafogo, a traditional soccer team from Brazil and the city of Rio de Janeiro, will be playing in the final of the main South American Club Football Championship and also the main championship in Brazil. I will stop here. I will return later. If you watched this far, please leave a like, share it with someone on your WhatsApp, and subscribe to the channel if it is not subscribed. Bye. See you later.